Hey y'all, this is Ro from Shane Banger, and you're listening to Grit City Punk.
Jiggle Down Productions.
Welcome back to Grit City Punk, Tacoma's underground music and variety show covering hardcore and punk scenes in the Pacific Northwest. What's up? I'm your host, Jeremy. Back for another show. Been sick all week, so you have to excuse me if my voice sounds a little shot. It feels a little shot. Got a great show. Rowan from Shane Banger is my interview. We've got a ton of new music, so much new music that I had to break it up and save some for next time. And so besides all that, what's been going on? Everybody good? Summer's almost over. We had Rainier on the Rise Music Festival at Real Art on Friday and Saturday. That was the 22nd and 23rd. I was there on the 22nd. It was Beverly Crusher, Bad Honey, Tiny Monsters, Hot Stepmom, Bee Creeping, Prismia, Sevelin, and Kapala. Amazing show. Lots of bands. Lots of times to be had. And that was before I got sick. Now I'm sick. Getting better. So let's get on to some new music. First up is Maelstrom from Everett. They just dropped an EP called Why Should I Stick Around? Really shoegazy, kind of emo. Really like it. This is the song called Amber. Bellingham hardcore band Paperclip is hitting the road for a tour. They just dropped a tour tape. It's called, you guessed it, 2025 Tour Tape. It's got 3 tracks. Looks like they're selling copies on the road, or you can just get the files from Bandcamp. This song is from that tour tape. It's called Sublimation. The homies from Life Rips just put out another single from their forthcoming album called Make It Pop. This song is called Comatose Fantasy. It's streaming everywhere. Go check it out. Get ready for the album coming soon. Next year, I think. Next on the list is a huge one. It's kind of been out for a minute. It's officially available everywhere now, including on Bandcamp, where you should totally go buy it for $1. It is the Northwest Hardcore Where Do We Go comp, featuring 21 bands, 21 Northwest Hardcore bands of various ilk. Man, it is incredible. I mean, we've got Punitive Damage, Cujo, Spur, Unjust, Dry Socket, Cherub Chains, All That Matters, Elephant Walk, Chopping Block, Juice, Legendary Weapons, Odd Man. I mean, there's 21 bands. You can pick it up for $1 on the Northwest Hardcore Bandcamp, or you can listen anywhere. Vinyl will be available for this soon, I'm told. So definitely check that out. It's definitely worth the money, worth the effort. Go listen to it. Right now I'm going to play the Dry Socket song, which they also released as a single, and it's also going to be on a 7-inch split that they're putting out in a few months. So this is Dry Socket. The song is called Last Chance. Chelsea from Filthy Traders has started another band. This one is called Sick Crush. They're just kind of getting started. Played a couple of shows, I think. Just dropped their first single, Bandcamp exclusive. The band is called Sick Crush, and the single they just released is called Whiteout. Go and give it a listen on Bandcamp. Throw some money at them.
Your delusional dreams are the veil on your eyes. You soak up all the promises, forget all the lies. When you look in the mirror and you don't see your past, you forsake the road you took here. You say that Christ has wings and you stare at your toes. How did we get here out of start? I don't think anyone knows. But you can't have nice things with that blood on your hands. Stains will never come out with your whiteout, 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 whiteout. It's not real until it happens to you. It takes a little foresight to see the impact of the things you do. We're calling out your deception. Look over here, not there. Can't find the right reception. You won't find it here. You draw invisible lines and you build up your walls. What makes you hard in your heart? What makes you brace for the fall? Your sarcastic remarks are the armor you wear. You isolate from the ones who love you. You paint the perfect picture, but it's only in stains. You pretend you forgot all the hurt that you gave. Your magazine life and your rebel lipstick is just too bright for this whiteout, 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 whiteout. It's not real until it happens to you. It takes a little foresight to see the impact of the things you do. We're calling out your deception. Look over here, not there. Can't find the right reception. You won't find it here. We're calling out your deception. Look over here, not there.
The homie Soda Cracker Jesus has dropped another single. This one, it's called I Can't Feel the Real Me at All. It's a collaboration with Dissonance Theory. Go check it out. And last one for this episode is Tacoma band The Coolers. Just dropped another EP. It's called Thawed Out. The single Pick Me Up that was dropped a few weeks ago is on this. And it's also got this song that I'm going to play for you called Live It Up. So, live it up. And like I said, there was more music. I had another 3 or 4 things on the list, but I decided I'm going to save them for next episode and just tack them on to the new releases then, because this is a lot already and we've got a long episode. So stay tuned and have fun. Who are you and what do you do?
I am Rowan, and I sing in a band called Shamebanger, among other things.
So sticking to Shamebanger, why do you do it? What's your motivation?
I really believe that music can change people or have an impact on people, that it can educate and inspire people and give a sense of self-worth and belonging and catharsis. I mean, it's like a medicine on so many levels. And I want to be a part of all of that.
Have you seen the graphic of a prescription bottle with the headphones stuffed in it?
No, I love that.
That's so good.
Oh,
So what does punk mean to you?
I was like so intimidated about this one coming up.
I've had it reversed on me a few times and I always draw a blank, but please entertain me.
I guess, punk is so many things to so many people. To me, the core of it is really about looking at the world and looking at the expectations that are sort of thrust upon us socially, and saying, I'm not just going to like gobble this up wholesale. I'm going to question this if this isn't if this doesn't sit right with me, if this feels like it's erasing who I am. I'm going to fight back the way I can. And some people do that through aggressive music or political lyrics or just dressing differently, which of course punk has been co-opted and marketed back to us in so many ways as well. So there's, who am I to say like there's a certain look or a certain style of anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to me, it's really just at the core of it is going against the grain. I, of course, want it to be like, ooh, radical leftist or, like really, really intense, serious anger or whatever. But I think it is what anybody needs it to be for them.
Yeah, I think it oftentimes is the radical leftist, especially when faced with such a strong opposition that really tends to make the punk scene kind of mold together and strengthen even more, ideally anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we band together to fight the status quo, so to speak.
Yeah. Were you a music student?
Not really. Both of my parents were in rock bands before I was born. So my mother was a vocalist. My dad is a keyboard player, a pianist. I wouldn't call him a pianist. No, I'd call him a keyboard player.
A keyboardist?
Yeah. But both of them were, self-taught, very rock and roll, very DIY shit. I was in choir, like, in my, K through 12 years or whatever. But no, I don't really know anything about formal music training in that way.
Okay. So the choir thing, though, that's interesting because that is, I mean, I consider that to be, music training. Do you think that informs or affects the way that you approach your vocals or in the way you approach handling like the business of the band as far as like practicing or rehearsing or planning or anything like that?
Oh man, no.
No? Okay.
Maybe if I was in like a formal, like important choir or whatever, but this was like chorus class.
Okay.
In school. And I was also in like the plays and stuff. So we did musicals every year in school and that sort of thing. I probably learned something from that, like it gave me a chance to feel what it was like to be on stage and to perform for people. They probably gave us some like breathing exercises at the time and we did, scales, but
Right.
I don't think what I do now, I learned very much from those things. I think I learned it more from other avenues in my life, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of musicians, particularly in punk and alternative spaces, come from marching band, jazz band, or theater. Theater
Mhm.
is really kind of at the core of punk aesthetics, I think.
I love hearing that. I don't think I've ever really made that connection super strongly with other people, but like for me, my being on stage at all, being in a band at all, came from wanting to be on Broadway as like a teen.
Hmm.
And the music, we have in this band and in all of the bands I've been in have been very inspired by theater and have been I think in the realm of theatrical.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, I don't know about previous bands, but we'll get there. Was there a specific moment or a band or a song that cemented for you that you wanted to pursue music as a semi-professional?
Yeah. There was a band from upstate New York, where I'm from Ithaca, New York, called Marathon, that was a punk band, maybe like post-hardcore-ish punk, also very melodic, very theatrical, sort of like technical punk. And they blew my mind in like 2000. I think I discovered them in 2004, right after they had like broken up the first time, I think.
It's not how it always goes.
I know, killing me. They had very political lyrics, but they also were very vulnerable, very self-aware lyrics. Specifically, I remember a song. What's it called? Where We Hide. It's called Where We Hide, and it's about like we're just privileged brats, but and we sing in this punk band or whatever, and we say all this political shit, but like we're not oppressed. We're just doing this to stop feeling so guilty about being privileged, and we want to make a positive change. And I was
Wow.
like, I know, I was like, oh, I got
Yeah.
that's a really
That's
romantic song.
yeah, that's pretty self-aware and pretty big.
Yeah, it was extremely honest. And I, like I said, I'd always sort of wanted to be on Broadway or whatever. Both my parents were in rock bands. I remember being like watching people on stage back then, and I had barely discovered like local bands, but I would cry because I wanted to be up there and I didn't entirely like understand why, but I didn't feel like I could do it or that I was allowed to do it.
Hmm.
So seeing a band like Marathon, which I did eventually see them, hearing a band, I think I discovered them on it was like their last show. It was their final goodbye show. And seeing that, like it was a real freaking punk event.
Hmm.
Everybody, the room is packed. People were like singing along, fists in the air. That changed my life. I was like, this is what I want. And hearing the way that they presented themselves, like we are educating people, we're angry, we're motivating people, and we're being really vulnerable and like
Hmm.
honest about who we are. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So I think my first tattoo was a representation of their goodbye show poster.
All
So
right.
it's like I promise that I will go figure out how to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a pretty big moment. Um, Ithaca. You're from Ithaca. What's the university over there?
Cornell. I'm
Okay.
from near Ithaca. Yeah.
Okay. What's the college that Dr. Greg Graffin teaches at? That's over there, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it Cornell?
I don't think it's Cornell, but I think that he lived in Ithaca.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that's the case. I don't know that lore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember. I read the book, but in one eye out the other.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so that just drew a connection from Ithaca, and then also just the way you were describing Marathon as being,
Mm,
guys trying to educate through punk rock. Perfect.
yeah.
So okay, so you're from New York. How did you get here?
Um, I was going to college in Rochester, New York at RIT, living with my partner at the time, who is an ex now. And we just didn't really enjoy the whole upstate New York scene. I remember us being upset that there were like more murders per capita than New York City at the time. The racial relations seemed really strained, and I don't think either of us were smart enough to really figure out how to like engage and like try to be more involved in our city. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess his brother got a job at Boeing, and we were like, let's get the fuck out of here. We had been looking at like Boston or Chicago or whatever, but his brother went to Boeing in Seattle. So we moved here about 19 years ago in
Okay.
2006. Yeah.
The lure of the rainy city.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really think about it then. I remember people, older people were like, yeah, everybody there is a lumberjack.
Oh boy, even in the 2000s, people were saying that, huh?
Uh-huh.
That's bizarre.
Funny. Yeah, and it surprised me. It's been a really wonderful, wonderful city to keep discovering, despite the changes that have happened as well over the
Right.
years.
Okay, so you've been in Seattle area since.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what do you think? Is it okay?
Obviously the sort of tech industry has come in and taken over, and the gentrification is a big, big problem.
Right.
And that's all fucked. But my life here, my social life, the city itself has been really wonderful. In a lot of ways, you can't really ask for more. It's fairly mild weather, unless it ices over.
Yeah.
There's trees, there's water, there's mountains real close by. And I haven't lived in other major cities, but I can't think of a better music scene than this. And I would honestly love to hear about any others out there, but it's just it's a beautiful, hugging, supportive, loving community. So I'm stoked about that. And it's been that way this whole time.
Yeah, I agree. I think pretty much any major city can claim that they have a great music community, and I'm sure a lot of them do, but that there is something special about Seattle generally, but just like Tacoma, Olympia, all the way down to Portland, even Vancouver, just this whole strip of the Western Washington. There's really something special that I don't think really exists to this extent elsewhere, as far as like the camaraderie and the way other musicians lift each other up and cooperate with each other. I mean, this goes back to the 80s, and I mean even before then. I mean, if you look at the history of the quote unquote grunge movement, it was just all these just weirdos that just wanted to make music, didn't think anybody was paying attention, hopped around from each other's bands, experimented with genres, and eventually people caught on, and then it blew up, and well, it's kind of been fucked up since for a while afterwards, but we're getting it back.
Yeah, it's for sure probably a different vibe now than it was then. I also should probably talk about the Pacific Northwest in general, not just be Seattle centric, but I've heard some folks be like, oh, it's just not like the 80s and early 90s anymore. Like, people just aren't blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, have you been to a show? And over the 20 years, I've been involved in different scenes in this city. I was really into sort of like stoner rock, metal group for a while. And there have been these massive, like, beautiful golden eras. And a lot of bands will be like super supporting each other, and then some of them will break up and some people move away. And I've watched these sort of mini community moments come and go, but another one will replace it.
Yeah.
Some beautiful like punk rock moments lately. Everything that's happening with the all ages scene in this area right now is blowing my mind. And I did not see that when I moved here.
Because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up, well, I'm in Tacoma, but throughout the 80s and all the way into the 90s, Seattle had the dance ordinance. So there was no all age music clubs at all. They didn't exist. They were illegal. There was a few places outside of Seattle that operated, but most of them basically cowed under the dance ordinance, even though that was a Seattle specific law. And when I was growing up, there was no place to go watch music. There was no place. I mean, I was in bands. There was no place to go play music. You had two options. You had a church or somebody's basement. If you went in somebody's basement or a house party, basically the cops were going to come. Just no questions asked. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
And, and somebody might have got shot too. That happened a lot. So the two
Yeah.
options were pretty grim. And for a long time, most of my adult life, I just didn't even look for a scene because I didn't really think there was one. Until a few years ago, I discovered Real Art, and I was like, holy shit, there's all ages music, and they're good, and it's fun, and everybody is really cool.
Yeah. Up
Yeah.
here, they've been doing all these like guerrilla shows and stuff.
Yeah.
I grew up in like a very, very tiny town. There is still like no music scene within 50 miles or 100 miles or whatever from it. But and I also like was too scared to start a band until I was 30. Right. So
Wow.
I've only been doing this for like 12 years. That'll give you my age. But I'm like so happy and so sort of like jealous and like grieving for my younger self that like there are kids growing up being told you have a right to this. You're cool enough. You're talented enough. And let's have fun together. We're here for each other. And that's just like, that's got to be the healthiest thing. So I'm really stoked for them.
100%. And I feel that too, because like I said, I didn't have that when I was a kid. And seeing all the opportunities now that young bands and kids have to not only be able to start a band and have parents and teachers and other people encourage it. You have things like there's a School of Rock in Seattle. There's the Vera Project. There's Live It Out Loud in Tacoma. I mean, you actually get trained on how to be in a band. And then there's clubs all over the place that you can play that have, safe community nets around them. And it's just, it blows my mind. And I'm so glad that exists. I wish it was there for me when I was a kid because, my early adulthood and teenage years would have turned out a lot different. But I mean, the paths we take lead us to where we are. I'm just glad it's here now. And that's kind of why I'm here doing this now because, I just want to be a part of it in some way.
Yeah. I'm so grateful for that. And we're trying to figure out how to also support that energy that's happening now without sort of being intrusive or entitled to that community since it's not, I mean, it is our community, but it's kind of not, so.
Yeah, I don't know about the Seattle scene specifically because I don't go to many shows up there, but the Tacoma scene, specifically at Real Art, I mean, when you say all ages, it really is all ages. I mean, most of the bands are kids and a lot of the audience is kids, and it's really kind of kid driven, but there's so many adults and not just their parents. There's a lot of that, which is kind of cool too. But I mean, there's really people of all ages. And as I've interacted with bands and other, fans at the shows, there doesn't seem to be that generational barrier that I experienced when I was a kid. It's definitely a lot less. Like, I mean, I could have a conversation with just about any of those kids that are in bands or whether they're there to see bands. And it's like a one-on-one kind of thing rather than like I'm an adult and you're a kid kind of thing, It's beautiful.
Yeah. I was afraid to not have that be the experience, but every time I have been in an all ages setting, I have not felt like the old, the grandpa, the creepy.
Right.
I was worried about feeling creepy, and no one's treated me that way at all.
Okay, I've been to a couple of shows where it kind of almost felt like that, but
that's probably the beer.
No, yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's only happened a few times. Most of all, it's really welcoming.
Yeah, I do wonder again about other music scenes. Like, is this happening all around the country, all around the world? The one thing I really noticed about this area when I moved here from New York, and this might have been because of the people I was hanging out with or the scene I was in, like Screamo or whatever, or it was my own insecurity, but it felt very kind of like uptight and elitist over there 20 years ago. And I remember me and my partner, who was in a band, moved here, and we were like, whoa, like anybody can play a show. Like, you can be, at the time we would say it like this, but like you can be shitty as long as you have friends.
Right.
Everyone thinks you're cool. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
And we grew quickly to love that the most about Seattle, and it still seems like that kind of place. Yes, we want everybody to play.
Yeah. I think there is a similar kind of paradigm change, I guess we can call it, happening elsewhere. I know like Philly has a really, really good punk scene, and there's a lot of all ages shows. There's a lot of young bands and a lot of the older punks that hang out or also play in bands. And there's multi-generational bands happening there, just like there is here, where you get a parent and a kid playing music together. Or there's a band that I just found out about not too long ago called We Might Die. I think they're from Vegas. The vocalist and bass player, her dad is I believe the guitar player.
Aww.
And then like one of his friends is the drummer. So
I love that.
yeah, it's really cool. It's a weird thing to wrap your head around at our age, but it's cool. I mean, having, two kids myself that are both just young adults now and into playing music, and we play music together and we go to shows together and stuff. It's like, that's not a unique thing. That's becoming a pretty normal thing, which I think is really rad.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how all this goes.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's just keep watering it and hoping it thrives.
Mm-hmm.
So how did Shamebanger come together? And you mentioned other bands. We don't have to talk about those unless you want to, but...
Well, my first band I started in 2013. It was called Spit in the Well. We were also sort of punk, melodic punk, I guess. And that was around for 5 years, maybe. Ended up falling apart eventually, right after Jules Hodgson from KMFDM joined the band.
Oh. Okay.
That was a really interesting 6 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, that didn't end up going anywhere. I was in a band right before Shamebanger, which is part of the origin story of Shamebanger. And I want to be careful because it was not like a happy transition. I was outside of Substation one day, which is a venue here in Seattle that also has practice spaces for anybody listening. It was my couch. I lived there basically. And there were these people just hanging out outside the practice spaces. And they were like, "Hey, you want to join our band?" And at the time I didn't have one. So I was like, what? But I went in and they showed me what they did. And I was like, "Do you want to hear me sing or anything?" And they're like, "Nah, it's whatever. We trust you." And I was like, this is so weird. It was really complicated, super bizarre, really creative, strange time signatures. It was super hard to write to, but I had so much fun figuring out how to like math out weird lyrics. It gave me a chance to start practicing screaming, which slightly relevant. This was before I took testosterone for a year, so I was not actually good at screaming. I never figured out how to do it without the hormone. Thank you. But yeah, so we had some really weird, quirky, fun shows. A drummer joined who I actually did meet through the person I moved here with 20 years ago, but we hadn't really been friends. So somebody I knew joined as the drummer. Somebody I knew joined as the bassist. Jimmy from a band that was called Wojciech. They also broke up. Anyway, so we were in this other band. I had just a real crap conversation, a real crap interaction with someone in that band. And I was like, this reminds me way too much of painful relationships I've been in. This is a dynamic I can't handle and I won't tolerate. And I decided to leave. And Scott and Jimmy came with me. So the drummer and the bassist came with, and we started a new band called Shamebanger.
All right.
Yeah. So it's kind of dramatic, but it came from the ruins of something else that was really cool and ended up being the best band I've ever been in.
All right. So the phoenix has risen.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
How'd you settle on the name?
Also funny story. Yeah. We started as, I think our first two shows were Go Golgotha Go. But it was hard to say, hard to spell, hard to remember, and sounded too much like Go Go Bordello.
Uh-huh.
So I had by then written a song called Shamebanger, which is about being a people pleaser and ending up doing a one night stand that I felt really crappy about, sort of going over my own boundaries, doing something I didn't want to do. And it was just such a great title. Everybody was like, yeah, let's make that the band name. So we became Shamebanger.
Perfect. And now you're in that elite club of bands who have a song that's also the name of the band.
Yeah. It's kind of good to sing it now, but it's like, yeah, all right, it's our theme song.
Yeah, it's great. What is Amplified?
Oh, balls. So Amplified has been an attempt to sort of merge the music scene in this area with political activism, I guess, or political organizing. My hope was to give all of us a space to talk about things that are normally sort of taboo to talk about in a fun show setting, and also things we don't get to talk about because it's loud whenever we hang out. The actual goals and outcome have sort of shifted as I've tried to figure out what people need and what people want, what people are like willing to do. My first thought was like, okay, let's try to get more musicians involved in doing something that is like social justice oriented, or even just volunteer or giving back to the world in some way. Doesn't even have to be political. Let's get more musicians involved in that, especially now with everything going on, right? And everybody can have their own individual, pathways and goals, and I can sort of just play life coach to everybody. I've been deeply trained in life coaching. It was a failed career, but you have a lot of unused training in that realm. So I was like, how do I use that for building our community here, and also encouraging, being involved in more impact from our community. That's like a messy summary, but that's kind of what it's been.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm really interested in that idea. The concept of getting people together from the scene. I mean, maybe there's some political action or activism, but I think mainly seeing it as like community building and like having each other's backs.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool thing. And I mean, honestly, I would like to see something like that here in Tacoma.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that thrive in Seattle too. I mean, it's weird to say because it's not very far away, but there's that I-5 barrier.
No, absolutely. And no, I want stuff like this to be happening everywhere. I feel it's hard to talk about it because I have a lot of I haven't processed or figured out what's going on with it yet. And I also don't want it to be just mine. So I feel like I'm in this weird place where I decided to create a space for this to happen and guide it into happening. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that it's actually, it has felt really challenging. So I tried to do this many years ago, before the pandemic. I started doing these monthly gatherings called Behind the Scenes Seattle. And they ended up getting sort of merged with the Balanced Breakfast group. I think that's what they were called, which was a lot more about how to succeed as a musician, how to make money as a musician, how to get stuff out there. And I was like, no, social justice. I want to talk about socialism with you guys, and
right.
I think I realized that part of my problem is that I have been involved in Marxist organizing groups specifically. And just, after a meeting where I'd learn a bunch of stuff and take a bunch of notes and feel all excited, we'd go out for beers together. And I would learn from these people and talk to them about, I'd ask questions and it would be a great exchange. But now I don't have time to hang out with them. I want to hang out with my musician friends. And I'm like, no, I want to talk about that stuff with you guys. But it's not fair because everybody has different education and different political leanings and all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, I can't smash them together like that. But maybe with Amplified, it could be more like everybody's on their own journey, but at least we're talking about stuff. We're giving people permission to talk about stuff. We can ask how do we make our community better? And full disclosure, I put the project on pause. Anybody can take it up. I am sort of dealing with some helping family during the summer. So I'm taking a break from leading this thing, but I don't entirely know where to take it. And I'm hoping other people will be like, I want this.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get people in a group and have them do that, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I've been in enough groups, mostly parent and school related, to know that it's hard to get people to lead.
Yeah. And the other thing that sucks that I've learned is that, like, I'm a crap leader. I've never wanted to be a leader. I'm not good at it. I'm not confident. I'm good at educating and helping people like themselves better. You know, I'm good at empathy and sharing stuff I know, but I'm not great at being like, let's do this. Like, I'm the motivating factor. I'm the guiding factor. So
Right.
I think come fall, I'll probably bring it up with the people we have gathered so far and start asking, like, is this, do we want to get together and start figuring out like safe houses and like emergency plans for like martial law and shit like that? Or do we want to do, sort of the more cute stuff where it's like, let's figure out what zines we're going to have on our merch table and stuff like that. And hopefully there'll be something in the middle, but
Yeah.
It's been big trying to figure it out.
Here's a question that I used to ask, but it was kind of in a different context and never really was answered in a way that I wanted it answered, and it was in the wrong context. But I'll throw it out now. What radicalized you?
That's a really good one. That's funny. This reminds me of that song I mentioned, Where We Hide, earlier, about being privileged but still being angry about the world. I think experiencing a lot of emotional abuse from people in my life when I was really young gave me a sense that the world is unfair and domination and dehumanization and humiliation and bullying are fucked up and really fuck people up. And at some point, my political education happened way later in life. And even now, it's honestly just relegated to like socialist theory.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered a Marxist group in college and started learning about basically systemic oppression, right? And capitalism and exploitation and all that stuff. So I think coming into the world being like, why can't people just be fucking nice to each other? Like, why does life have to hurt so much because of other people? And then being able to put sort of a structural framework on that and understand the bigger picture and how, that experience of feeling awful is tied and related to all of these oppressive systems in the world. I guess it was sort of a long process, but it might have come from that seed.
That makes sense. It's really hard to be a sensitive or empathetic person. It hurts.
Yeah.
But, I always remind myself that feeling pain is better than feeling nothing.
Definitely. And being able to feel pain is definitely one of our ways through it. So,
yeah, which I don't know that I can speak for you, but for me, like a path to sobriety was definitely learning a better way to manage the pain and like embrace it rather than just trying to suppress it.
Definitely. Yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels in recovery and addiction and things like healing from trauma and stuff like that, healing from abuse. Going to therapy at all.
Yeah.
I have a stupid Fight Club quote on my wrist, which people can't see, so I'll just say what it says. You have to give up, stay with the pain. That was like my second tattoo.
All right.
Just a reminder not to run away, not to dissociate constantly.
Yeah, because you need that pain because it educates you and humbles you and you learn a lot from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what has been a favorite experience of yours in Shamebanger?
Ooh, in Shamebanger. God, there's been so many. More recently, we have really fallen in love with the punk scene in Vancouver, in British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Going up there and seeing how much they love each other. And again, I've already talked about how much I love it here, right? But
right.
Seeing how much they love each other, how high energy they are, which is not always true for us down in this area. Everybody's crowd surfing all of the time. People, there's just so many hugs and they're so welcoming. I have had such a beautiful time sort of participating in this bridge building between these regions. And I'm really stoked about it.
I know 2 Vancouver bands. One of them, Night Court. Do you know them?
Yeah.
Okay. I met them. I was working at Real Art when they played one show, and their drummer, I cannot remember her name, but she was like possibly the nicest person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah,
Just
they're so nice.
yeah, it's true what they say. Canadians are nice.
I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So how about an experience within the scene, not necessarily with your band?
Just like a positive experience.
Yeah. I mean, what something cool that sticks in your mind about a show you were at or a band?
Yeah. I think one of my favorite show memories in Seattle was, oh God, a handful of years ago at the Bar House venue when they had it. It's gone now, unfortunately. Dead Bars, one of my favorite Seattle pop punk bands, and some very close friends of mine did a show there. You know, they've had a lot of shows over the years that are like this, but for some reason that one stands out, maybe because they made a music video of the crowd that night and I was in it, which is really
Yeah.
very nice. But yeah, it was just, that band is such a love bomb. People, know the lyrics, sing along, lose their minds. It's been one of the greatest crowds and greatest sort of micro communities in town. And just the memories of being front row, again, fist in the air, screaming the lyrics. It's the dream. It's iconic dream. And I'm so grateful to be able to have been a part of that so many times over the years here.
Why are there so many bands with the word dead in their title?
I know.
It gets confusing.
Sonics, all of them are really, at least those are all like some of my favorite bands here too.
Dead Sonics are great.
Yeah, they're really good.
And I don't know if it was intentional, but I mean, the Sonics from back in the 60s, great band.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, I wonder if it was intentional.
It probably had more to do with the basketball team, which you missed because you weren't here yet.
Yes, that's correct. I did not get to see the story.
No, you came just in time for us to actually have a decent football team. So, what are your favorite bands? Like just in general. Just throw me a couple of bands that you just absolutely love.
I love Propagandhi.
All right.
I love McCluskey and basically anything that Andrew Falkus has done. So Future of the Left included in that. Anything Damon Albarn has done. Really love Gorillaz. Really like, even like old school Blur and shit like that. My Chemical Romance is definitely like what I always throw out as my favorite band. Big fan. And then, there's just like tons of local bands I love. And I think like lately I've been listening to a lot of like Idols and Idols adjacent, or like all the bands that now kind of sound like that. Where it's just like one gruff dude being like, bah, 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 emotional lyrics. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
And love, women vocalists as well that are fucking awesome. Emil and the Sniffers. Yeah. I really like whatever's happening with that realm of music right now.
I keep seeing Emil and the Sniffers, and I've got to check that out.
Yeah, they're off the hook.
All right.
Yeah.
Noted. So what inspires you to write and create?
I guess I started telling the story earlier of like just growing up and wanting to be on stage and emote in that way, to express in that way. I think now things have changed a fair amount where it's more about opportunities to sort of help people feel less alone, to help people feel less crazy, to educate where I can, or inspire and motivate where I can, where we can. I think everybody in Shame Banger is on board with all of our messages. And as a band, we've agreed that our main goals are really to share a message and to support the communities we exist in now, rather than necessarily to like go out and make it.
Right.
Whatever. So
who knows what that even means anymore?
Yeah, right. I know it's very different than it used to be. But yeah, I guess impact and connection, I would say, are the two priorities for me.
Okay. I was listening to your album. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Specifically, I was listening, and the song "Surrender."
Oh,
It can't.
yeah.
So like intrusive thoughts.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of gave me a little bit of the what's that called? The paresthesia, where you get the goosebumps. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We don't play that one anymore.
Okay,
I love that you picked that out because it is the one I will not perform anymore.
okay.
Yeah. Did you that all came from real experience. I have been I have a trauma body.
Hmm.
I have a very fragile, very fussy, very noisy body that has been better or worse depending on the time in my life. Right now, I feel like I am clinically regulated, so to speak. I am not struggling with incredible anxiety and depression. I don't have a lot of brain fog and fatigue, and I don't have all these like random symptoms happening all the time. When I wrote
That's good.
that, yeah, when I wrote that, I had all of that going on. It was
Yeah,
just life was fairly unbearable, really challenging, and my brain was very active with the intrusive thoughts, the sort of OCD like, but not OCD diagnosed,
right.
anxiety driven intrusive thoughts that would really give me a lot of stress. So I put them in a song.
As you do.
Yes, you do. I
Yeah,
exercised that shit, and then soon after, I was like, I can't even sing the song I wrote because then those thoughts get stuck in my head again, and
right.
it's nuts. Yeah, we've thought about changing the lyrics and bringing the song back, but we've moved on.
Yeah, yeah. That's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if I should say I'm sorry for bringing that up or not, but
No, it's fine. I'm much better now. Like I don't
good.
worry about it so much. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it just kind of struck a chord with me because I mean I've had intrusive thoughts from time to time in my life, and I mean I don't think it's ever been bad to the point where like I need to seek help for it or anything, or it's like really disruptive, but just kind of disturbing.
Hmm.
And yeah, a lot with the like the body horror stuff, which is like what really caught me like immediately on the song. I was like, holy shit, okay, we're doing this, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Like I said, feeling pain is better than feeling nothing.
Yeah, I should put a trigger warning on that song.
I mean, you could, or
Yeah.
just, I mean, I think most music kind of is better without a trigger warning, maybe, because sometimes when you're surprised into feeling a certain way that you weren't expecting, and whether it's good or bad, it's helpful, maybe
Yeah.
cathartic. So, what genre is Shane Banger?
I have no clue.
Great,
Yeah,
make something up.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. Post-hardcore, post-punk. I kind of explain it to people as like eclectic punk with elements of occasionally it'll be a bit of hardcore or a bit of
Mm,
metal or something kind of more danceable. We have a lot of variety in our songs. Our drummer Scott writes all of our songs, and our guitarist and bassist are contributing more lately. But Scott is very all over the place and has a really interesting style of his own. He can kind of write in all styles, I guess, which means that what comes out for us is the quirky shit. But
right.
some kind of punk umbrella there.
Uh-huh. I could see the post hardcore in there.
Yeah, I don't
There's
even.
a your vocal delivery is a lot more theatric and not as melodic, so that kind of lends more to the kind of going towards hardcore a little bit, but
Mhm.
also kind of maybe touching on emo a little bit.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I have like I said earlier, like a crap music education. I'm terrible at genres, so I love hearing what other people say they
Right.
hear from us, and a lot of times it's something I'm like, I don't think you're right. Well,
I get that a lot from people when I explain bands. I do have a fairly good music education, but I suck at like subgenres, especially when it comes to like punk and hardcore and metal and stuff. Like I just feel like people are just making shit up,
Yeah.
honestly. But I also have like a very, very Gen X mindset approach to, trying to understand and relate to more modern music or music that I missed along the way. Like My Chemical Romance, it missed me. It just completely missed me. I wasn't in a time of my life then where I even really was, exposed to it much or would have really appreciated it then.
Mhm.
I don't know. I get in a lot of arguments with my friends about trying to classify music and genres and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's
I would love
hard.
to have the Gen Z view. That would be very interesting.
I'm not sure what that is. Like, more genres exist, but I feel like nobody adheres to them.
Yeah.
Like
And
when I was a kid, like you were like in junior high, it's like you were a rocker or you listened to rap or you listened to country. And that was like it. By high school, it was like, okay, there's metalheads, there's punks, there's like the real gutter punks, and then you had everybody else. It used to be really cliquey.
mhm.
And I feel like it's not maybe like that as much. Like kids just listen to whatever the fuck they want. And half the time, like they don't even know that it is a genre. They're just like, yeah, I like it, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done so much crossover of genres over those years too that it's becomes harder to classify. But
Yeah.
I would say they've erased like entire categories of music by calling it just like dad music or whatever.
Oh my God. I hate that term so much.
It's silly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you get anything from like Zeppelin to Weezer being
Yeah.
called dad rock. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
No.
It's so different, you guys.
Yeah. And then like corporate radio stations, they don't help because the classic rock, when we were a kid, classic rock was like 60s, 70s. Now all of a sudden they're playing shit from the 90s and 2000s as well as that. And it's like, these are different genres.
Yeah.
These are completely different generations of music. I don't know. But I also listen to a lot of different eclectic stuff. So I can't really bitch about it or get too nitpicky.
That's fair.
I try not to anyways. So besides music, what else are you passionate about? Do you have any hobbies? What brings you joy in your day-to-day life?
Reading about trauma.
Oh,
Less so now than in the past decade, actually. I kind of like soaked that ADHD obsession dry.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, really interested in neuroscience. So I did that, just a lot of reading and learning around that for a long time. Now I'm super curious about like transformative justice and how do we respond to harm in ways that don't cause more harm. Really curious about community building because I never really understood what community was. And even now I'm kind of like, what does it mean to build community?
Mhm.
And how do we get people to work together so that we can build a better world? All of that is kind of like my current nerd focus. And that tends to be where I spend a lot of my time is like finding a conundrum I want to become like a layman expert in. Is that a word? Like a
That's like an oxymoron, but I'll go with it.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I know I can't be an expert, but like
Right. You want to be educated about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know. That's kind of where a lot of my mental energy is going, and I'm trying to be someone who writes essays about it. And I'm very inconsistent, and I don't do the things I tell myself I want to do. So that hasn't really gotten off the ground yet. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of, I guess, a hobby or my life passion at the
Okay.
moment.
Unfinished projects. Yeah. Yeah, I can relate with that. I'm a guy who has a lot of hobbies and a lot of big grand ideas and I'm going to do this, and then a few days later abandon it and move on to something else. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of tragic, but I'm sure it gives our personalities and our lives some spice.
yeah, it's neurospicy is a term that I've been liking.
Mm-hmm. It is
Yeah.
definitely that. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I'm kind of proud of myself. Actually, really proud of myself, and kind of impressed that I've been able to maintain this podcast on a bi-weekly schedule for over 7-8 months now.
Yeah, that
Which
is
is-
actually amazing.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah, I've wanted to start a podcast 100 times and then just never you know, never. So this is great. I'm so glad you're doing it too.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I'm doing it too. And I'm glad people like you come on my show so that I can pick your brain and figure things out about the scene and different bands and stuff.
Yeah, being able to listen to other people and their perspectives has been really, really eye opening and cool. I think this matters as a project.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I don't even know why specifically I started it. I think I started it just because I was doing a different podcast and I was leaning more towards I want to dig into the local scene.
Mm.
And it really started to turn into more of a, well, now I'm really just interested in hearing other people's perspectives and histories about music and, what drives people.
Mhm.
And I also like asking people what punk means because it's fun. And I've asked it like 30 times and I've gotten 30 different answers and each one is valid and I love it.
I love that. Yeah.
So what's next for you? What's next for Shane Banger and what's next for you?
Mm. Um, well, I think we're trying to release our first real album probably towards the end of the year here. We've got about 13 songs we want to put out, and all we have right now is sort of like an EP and a bunch of singles. So I'm excited about that. I think it'd be fun to have like my first vinyl ever in life, and possibly that's the case for a few of our members. Yeah, I want to find ways of sort of staying in our lane as a band, but again, bringing it back to the whole like impact question. So, like, what can we have on our merch table that makes sense with the messages in the songs, but also supports our community in some way? Where can we put our money? And we're a very privileged band because all of our recording is in house. Our drummer Scott has a recording studio, Titan Recording, so we don't have to pay for that stuff.
Nice.
All of us are employed, and again, we're not trying to like go on major tours or anything like that, so we can kind of put our money wherever. And there's at least one band in this city that I know all of their money goes to one charity, and I'm just like, whoa, I never even thought of that. So yeah, so there's a lot of questions around like, what can we bring into our live performance? What can we bring to the merch table? How can we shift our process or where we visit or what we say to have an impact that makes sense with the band? So that's kind of like a project. We just got off of Spotify and all of the major streaming services, and we're just on Bandcamp now. So that's a whole project. Like, how do we reach people in different ways? How do we connect with folks or update folks in different ways? I just discovered this amazing local band called 81HD, as in like ADHD, but it's 81.
So it's just a little extra?
Yeah, just a little extra.
Okay.
They are freaking fantastic. They call themselves a Luddite punk band. They're not online as a band entity at all.
Uh-huh.
So they sent me a physical flyer for a show actually that we were playing together, and I hadn't even printed my own flyers. I was like, wait, what? What is this thing here? It felt so good. He like typed on the back and stuff. So like, I think the world, especially here and us, is in a position to be like, what are some more interesting ways of connecting than just blasting stuff on Instagram, you know?
Yeah.
So those are, I guess, some big projects we're wondering about. As for my life, yeah, the sort of current passion I told you about is really just like figuring out transformative justice and community building locally. How can I potentially use my like unused coaching skills to support stuff like this? Should I, try to guide Amplified in a particular way? And will the community give me feedback on how to do that? Or will they take it over? Or will maybe you do something in Tacoma about it? Like those are all sort of open questions for the rest of the year and ongoing. And I think I speak for all of us when I say I have no idea what the future is going to hold. And I don't know what's going to be possible or what's going to be scary or hard. So I'm kind of just like trying to prepare for the scariest shit while also keeping an eye on people around me and taking care of folks where I can. Sorry, that was my answer, but it's a lot.
It is. The Spotify thing though,
Mm.
As you know, that's been occupying a lot of my brain power lately too. Just the idea of how do you operate a band or really anything by sidestepping the major channels. I mean, when everybody was concerned about Napster and oh my gosh, kids are getting music for free. Oh my god, it's the end of the industry. Nobody was thinking about the bands losing money because most bands weren't really making a whole lot anyways.
Right.
At the end, obviously, it was the major corporations, the record labels. They were the ones that were going to lose their asses, and they did. But then they consolidated, regrouped. Spotify came into the fold. Apple was kind of starting off and doing things the right way. It still sometimes kind of does things the right way, but sometimes not. And now we have a whole industry that's basically ran by Spotify.
Yeah.
I don't know. I came very late to streaming music. I was very, very adamant, very old school. I had an MP3 player and I just loaded up songs and I listened to that. And I did that until just a couple of years ago when it finally took a shit on me and I didn't feel like soldering it anymore. So I don't know. I mean, I have enough of a musical library that I own that I could probably, like, if streaming didn't exist, I'd be like, no, okay, I'll just listen to all the shit that I have. But then what about new stuff? Where does that come from? How do you get that? How do you hear about it? And this sucks too. If you're not on Instagram, nobody knows you. I mean, Twitter is not really a thing anymore. Blue Sky is not taking off. The freak scene seemed like a great idea. Still kind of seems like a good idea, but it seems kind of dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be picking up or taking off the way that maybe it had the potential to.
Yeah.
And so how do you promote anymore? How do you promote without that? How do you let people know where you are or that you exist or that you've got new music coming? I mean, Bandcamp is great. I love Bandcamp, but it seems like most people don't even know that it's a thing. Like when the pandemic hit, it was like Bandcamp all of a sudden was like the savior for about 6 months. It was like everybody loves Bandcamp. And then they sold to that gaming company or whatever. And then that company that owns it now just kind of lets it sit without evolving or progressing in any way. It's almost a dead platform. It's static. There's always new music uploading on it, but like the platform itself doesn't evolve. I don't know. These are weird times and these are big questions for the music scene, for the music industry as a band and an audience. Like, where do we go from here?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you listed out a lot of the conversations we're all going to be grappling with for like the next 5 or 10 years. I also think different people are going to have different answers based on what their goals for the band are. And so I feel like our answers are slight cop-outs because, as I said, like our focus is kind of on like having fun, having an impact, maybe getting the message out, maybe getting the songs out, but kind of focusing on our community. And the bands that are like trying to be professional working musicians are absolutely between a rock and a hard place. The person who runs the record label that we're on, Outhouse, it's a little baby Canadian label that's freaking awesome. They said, I don't think the onus should be on the musicians. I think the onus should be on the consumers. But also, if all the consumers leave the platform, then the musicians are still not getting the word out, right?
Right.
So I think there's going to have to be some kind of massive shift. For me, what I will say is that I've been on Spotify for a decade. I have paid them $10 a month as long as they've been around. And I knew when it started, I was like, this seems wrong somehow. Like it's going to go badly, but I want the convenience.
Right.
This is better for me and easier for me, than all of mucking with everything else. And I also wanted to minimize. Everything's digital. Get the Kindle, all this shit. And I have been getting myself off of Spotify and more onto Bandcamp, where I have been spending a boatload of money all of a sudden, which is good and bad, right?
Yeah.
I'm downloading MP3s. I bought a new MP3 player.
What'd you get?
Some crap. I don't know. Like Target or whatever.
Okay. My kid just literally today he ordered a a used iPod. I can't remember. It's like, I think you said it was like 5th gen iPod or something like that. You know, it's the little one with the screen, and it's got the scrolling pad.
Mm-hmm.
And and he's been just loading up music on his computer, and he's like gung ho.
Yeah. What it's done in part, like thinking about MP3s and physical media again, has reminded me like I do want to own the things I have paid for and that I care about, rather than having them be able to be disappeared at the click of someone else's button, despite how much I've invested in it.
Right.
And something else I've realized is that like, because I've been on Spotify for so long, it's been, you know, like you said, how do you get the new music? It's been a quantity over quality experience for me, especially as someone with ADD who is constantly dopamine hunting and collecting things and just more, 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 more. I'm not going to sit with it. I'm not going to spend time with it. I just need more things.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm realizing that that has like stopped me from listening to my friends' bands and really sitting down and caring and immersing myself in them. I don't remember band names. I don't remember song titles. It's just been so much crazy noise. And a lot of it has been great music, right? But since getting myself like moving off of it and like focusing more on Bandcamp, I actually really love Bandcamp. I have been treating it like the crappy step cousin or whatever for so many years. Yeah. And now I'm like, oh my God, they've added all of these new features. You can add playlists.
Yeah, that's one thing they did add, which is really cool. Shameless plug here. I made a playlist that I share, and it's just bands that I love. A song from each band. You know, obviously it's not everything, but it's a ton of local bands and some non-local bands. You're on there.
Hey.
Yay.
I like their app. I like the new player that they have. They never really had like a player that you can queue up, things like that. And for bands, they basically give you like an email mailing list, and a profile. And now there's like a subscription model where people can sort of it's like Patreon kind of. You can send them whatever you want. Yeah, I think I'm like stoked, and I've been like downloading some of my favorite music and saving like as a wish list or whatever. A lot of my friends' bands and I'm like actually sitting down and listening to them and going, oh, this is what these people care about, right? This is the people that I care about. This is what they're talking about and doing out in the world. And it is forcing me to slow down. And I think I'm at a point in my life where I want that in all areas of my life. Like I'm having this like major midlife crisis right now, and this is part of it. And I actually, that doesn't help solve the problems that you were bringing up earlier. This is just my personal mental health, right? And my connection to my community and music I like, but I don't know.
It's interconnected.
Yeah.
Because a shift for yourself can mean, a step forward for the community and the culture. Mm-hmm. Because, you talk to people about it, you're talking to me about it, people are listening to this, and, maybe somebody is like, hey, that sounds pretty neat. I wish I could have that intimate relationship with music. And, a lot of younger people have never experienced that because they've been force fed whatever's on TikTok or Spotify their whole lives. Mm-hmm. And it's bizarre. It's really bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of like 3-second culture,
Yeah.
I've heard that some kids only like really understand music from TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And let's not go there.
Yeah, yeah. The gatekeeper comes out and says, "Oh, but you don't understand the context. Oh, you don't know." But then the more civilized, polite me is like, just let the kids listen to what they want. They like it. It's just, who cares? Mm-hmm. They like it.
Also that.
Yeah. Which I think in some way they're both kind of valid. The nice guy is more valid. You need the context though. You need to know where it came from.
Yeah, and slowing down and being able to immerse yourself in something. I actually don't think that like 3-second culture is like healthy for us as brains. No. We didn't evolve to be okay, with instant multitasking and all this shit. So
no, I grew up sitting for hours watching dumb shit I didn't like on MTV to wait for that one video so I could push the record button so I could listen to it whenever I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss it.
Yeah. It's wild.
It's going to be some kind of turning point at some point. The things that we have created we're all starting to feel kind of miserable about,
Yeah.
and I think Spotify would be great in like a actually socialist world, right? Where like, not to push my shit, but like, I think it's bad because of capitalism, because
Right.
people are not, it's exploiting people, right?
Right.
If we all had everything we needed and all, it was this like amazing, like Amazon too, it would be great if it
Yeah.
wasn't ruining the world.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So there's going to be some kind of tipping point where we're like, we have all these cool technologies that are shit because of the way they exist in society, right? Because of the system. So
We're going to have our Jurassic Park moment where it's like we spent so much time figuring out what we can do instead of deciding whether or not we should do it.
yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, the idea of a on-demand streaming service is great. It's awesome. I mean, because I think music and movies and really all art and all media should be accessible to everybody
Hmm.
all the time, preferably for free. But I mean, people got bills, right? So why can't we have a model where it's like Spotify, but your $10 a month that you pay in, at the end of your month, they can pull up what you've listened to. So why don't they break it down and be like, well, okay, you listen to Hot Stepmom, like 30% of your life, and you listen to some old Eminem, you listen to classic rock bands or whatever, and break it down and pay out percentages wise to just what you listen to, so that the money you're paying in is actually going to the artist that you're listening to, instead of, well, I've listened to all these underground bands and I've never once listened to like Beyonce or Taylor Swift, but they're getting all the money that I'm paying in. Well, they're getting, the fraction that Spotify and their investors aren't getting.
Yeah.
But there's a handful of artists out there that are making all of the profit. And I mean, I have music on Spotify and I try to look at my stats. It just says less than 1,000. It doesn't even tell me how many streams I've had. That's the fucked up thing, is there's no transparency.
Yeah. I think that idea, that is something that could exist in the society we live in if I don't know, if Spotify was a co-op without a CEO getting all the money, right? Like it could exist. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, I think everybody would love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's probably going to be a lot of ideas and hopefully even some movement towards something like that. Maybe there already is, but yeah, human creativity. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It's been rad. Anything you want to shout out real quick?
Go listen to Mean Bikini, but they're from Vancouver.
That's fine. Mean Bikini. I've heard that name too, but I have not heard them. Well, thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you at your show.
Heck yeah.
Come to Tacoma.
I will.
Okay. Thanks. Rowan from Shamebanger, thanks for the interview. Great chat. This is a Shamebanger song. It's called For the Sake of Empires.
Children, a dark
because we understand that our common denominator is the fact that one people is dominating another. We have to find a way to share this land, otherwise we will have to share it as two huge graveyards for our children and the generations to come.
Looking forward in the weeks ahead, we've got several concerts. Gonna name off a few here. At Sunset Tavern on Thursday, September 4th is Prismia and Daughters of Venus. On Friday, September 5th is a zombie outbreak show at Lucky Liquor featuring Caps Lock, Katika, Destoria, and Red Pine. Same Friday, the 5th, at The Valley in Tacoma is MFD, Heart Smashers, and Just Barely. Golden Roosters on September 6th has Alex Vial, The Rat Utopia Experiment, and Cocker Spaniel. Back at Lucky Liquor on Saturday the 6th is The Disorderlies, The Meat Beaters, Street Justice, and Liability. Real Art, September 7th is Bonehouse, Gawk, Ednos, and Pregnant Dad. At Real Art on Friday, September 12th, Whiplash presents Sunbather Die, Hyperviolet, Jiggles, and Flood Theory. That's at Real Art. You noticed I said Jiggles. Yeah, that's me. I'm playing another show. See you there if you go. Real Art, the 12th. Saturday, September 13th is Zookra, Gumby's Junk, and Sleevy's at the Sunset Tavern. Saturday the 13th also has a humongous hardcore show at Real Art. It is the Northwest Hardcore Where Do We Go compilation release show, featuring Witness Chamber, Chopping Block, Elephant Walk, Smother, All That Matters, Legendary Weapons, Cujo, and Total Power Exchange. And lastly, on Sunday the 14th, at Real Art is Amoeba Arena, The Mural Project, When It Feels Quiet, and Anywhere But There, and Heaven Spot. That's September 14th at Real Art.
Hi, we're Trash Panda Go Kart. What does punk rock mean to us?
To us, punk rock means living your best life in the face of those who would have you miserable or dead, and empowering others to do the same.
Thanks to Grit City Punk for asking.
Thank you, Trash Panda Go Kart. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's been another show. Make sure you follow me in all the places. You know the drill. Instagram, Blue Sky, Freak Scene. Follow the YouTube page. Just uploaded some more videos. Almost caught up now, finally. If you're not already, check out my Bandcamp. You can listen to every single episode for free. You can download it for free if you're a freak and you want to. If you want to throw me a few bucks for it, you could also do that. Every episode is there. Just check out gritcitypunk.bandcamp.com. All the links are in the bio. Like I said, the YouTube page is popping. There's a ton of new videos in there. Follow me on Instagram. If you see me at a show, come say hi. If you see one of my stickers around, take a picture of it and send it to me. Until then, I've been Jeremy, and this has been Grit City Punk, and we're going to close out with two more songs from the Where Do We Go comp, because there's just so many of them, and they're so good. So I'm going to close it out with a song from Punitive Damage and a song from Cherub Chains.
This has been a Jiggle Down Productions production.
Conviction!
Yeah, is it just this is name from band and you're listening to Grit City Punk?
That's the default template.
Okay.
Do what you want. Do
Okay.
it as many times as you want.
Hey y'all, this is Ro from Shanebanger, and you're listening to Grit City Punk. Is good?
That's good. That's good. Unfortunately, the video was pixelating when you did the little cute face there, so I can't use that. But I could use the audio.
Do it again if you want, but yeah.
Wait. Let's wait till your signal clears up a little bit here. Yeah, no, it's choppy. It's choppy.
Apologies.
Well, I mean, it's not you; it's your internet.
Yes, it is my.